Hi, I'm Andy Martins. Welcome to another edition of ONNPoint. On today's edition, we talk to Riopel, who's a legendary activist for fitness and cycling in Sault Ste. Marie, and also a well-known physiotherapist. All that and much more coming up right after these commercial messages.
Welcome to the Machine Shop, our historic venue and gathering place for friends and family. Built in 1899 on the site of a Northwest Company trading post. Today we are a go-to venue hosting many expos, concerts, weddings, and more. While you're here, choose one of our dining experiences. Enjoy a quiet dinner at the Mill Steakhouse and Wine Bar, watch a game and try wood fire oven pizza and local draft at the Boiler Room, or treat yourself every day to gelato and local coffee at the Gelato Mill. For more information on the Machine Shop, visit machineshopinc.ca.
Have a great business idea but don't know where to start? Need help taking your business to the next level? C2C Business Services can be your guide in navigating the path of entrepreneurship, with services ranging from grant funding support, access to service experts, market information, and helping your business adopt new technologies to create and foster a culture of innovation for ongoing success. Call C2C Business Services and let them be your first step in taking your entrepreneurial dreams from concept to commerce. C2C Business Services is a division of the Sault Ste. Marie Innovation Centre.
Stopping and nothing, I'm up in your face, shaking it off, no matter the cost. I'm feeling the wind, I'm taking it all. I'm paving the way with the sweat and the blood. I'm at the top, I'm rising above. I want the gold, give me the rush. Queen Midas, I got the touch. I'm pushing, I'm pushing, I'm pushing. 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 I'm pushing, I'm pushing, I'm pushing.
Welcome back to the show. I promised you a lot of high-profile and interesting guests during the summer in Sault Ste. Marie, and today, Riopel is exactly that. He's been a legend in the last 30 years, cycling activist, a big part of the Hub Trail that was made in Sault Ste. Marie, and a Sault Ste. Marie physiotherapist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andy. It's nice to be here.
Anybody that's been in this community for the last 29 or 30 years knows your name, and we're going to talk about a lot of the stuff that you've been involved with over the last 30 years. You're a physiotherapist, Andre. Can you let the viewers know the difference between a physiotherapist and a chiropractor?
You asked the tough questions right off the start.
Wow, for sure.
Well, there used to be an old joke, it was like $100 the difference was, but I think that's past now. The two professions are actually a lot more similar than they are different. In the field of physiotherapists work in hospitals, work in the community, where chiropractic tend to be more in the community, in private practice. When you look at the education required for both professions, it's very similar. Right. Some of the people going into the profession today, when you look at the people that are taking in same requirements, same degree of academic ability. And the maybe our scope of practice is a little more diverse. Physiotherapists, when you work in hospitals, work what we call an acute care. People have amputation, surgeries, joint replacement, all that sort of thing, spinal cord injuries, stroke. So physiotherapists are also working in intensive care unit, the chest physiotherapy. So those are all highly specialized areas of the profession, right. And it takes some postgraduate training. And then people think of chiropractic, usually think of manual therapy, which again is another area that physiotherapists can specialize in by doing some postgraduate education. Spinal manipulation is a controlled act in Ontario. which means that you have to have a certain skill set and certain professions are allowed to do it. Physiotherapists is one of those professions, chiropractors the other one. Physicians with special training can also perform spinal manipulation, but it's a controlled act. So that's so basically I would say there's not a lot of difference between the two professions with regards to the skill set, although we do have a broader scope of practice in physiotherapy.
Right. Some of the viewers watching right now, if they were to looking at it and saying, well, you know, I have back pain, but I don't know where to go with a physiotherapist or a chiropractor, what are the key things people should be asking themselves to make the right choice for them?
Well, I think there's one of the challenges I think that we have as a profession is what we call publicly funded physiotherapy. The government of Ontario has changed the way they fund physiotherapy, what we call it in the community. So I think that's one big consideration for most people is the ability to pay for the services. A lot of people who have third-party insurance or
right.
are injured at work or then they have coverage for that. But really, I think that I see a lot of people that have seen chiropractors or are seeing chiropractors, and I'm sure that goes the other way. I have a lot of my good friends are chiropractors. I have a lot of respect for the profession. I think that I tell people really it's if a person is not getting the results or the service that you are expecting, it's actually healthy for you to look somewhere else.
Right.
Whether you switch profession or switch provider, but I would say that when you look at the skill set of various physiotherapists and various chiropractors in town, you'll see a pretty broad range, and everybody has a specialty in a certain area. So. Yeah, I guess as a consumer who just has a kink in his neck or something like that, they tend to talk to their friends or their mother, and so they get referred that way. Here in the Soo, we have started a new program now. It's called the Rapid Access Evaluation for people with low back pain,
Right.
and that's a very interesting program. It's province-wide. It's called Interdisciplinary Spine Assessment and Education Center, and it's really a great program. What we do is we work with a team, work with a spine surgeon in town, and basically family practitioners would refer patients to the program, and then they get evaluated by I'm the one who does the evaluation in town right now. We're looking at getting a chiropractor involved too, so there'll be so we do initial, and that's funded by OHIP. Right. And then we triage, we decide whether or not they need to do some exercise to help themselves, or they need to have further imaging, or they need a referral to a surgeon, which is basically rare. But the majority of people, back pain is very common. Back pain is very lifestyle influence. And also, in other words, the people who have more incidents of back pain tend to be more sedentary in lifestyle. People who are active, who move more, tend to have fewer problems. So a lot of times, because pain can be quite disabling, people need an expert basically show them what to do, how to move, how their spine is stiff, which muscles they need to work on. And I think this program is very much geared towards teaching you skills to take care of your problems, so that you don't have to spend money or run around and basically look after yourself. So and that's a huge part that gets missed typically in a physician. If you go to a doctor, they don't really have the skill set to teach you to do what we call a mechanical analysis of your problem. And then which way you need to exercise, which muscles you need to strengthen, or which way you need to stretch. How do you change your posture? Let's look at your work environment. So it's very complex, but the goal for us right now is, the primary goal is to teach you how you can fix it yourself and take care of it yourself.
Right, and that's why you go the extra mile a little bit more than chiropractors do.
Well, you know, I think it's related. I wouldn't say that chiropractors don't teach people exercise. That's not, and that physiotherapists do. There's different individuals, different styles, and different approaches. My personal approach is, when a person comes in, I say, okay, I want to know why you're here, and then I always ask what your expectations are. What do you expect from me? I just push my back in and I'll fix it. I says, well, a lot of people say, you know what, I've been dealing with this for years. I don't know what to do to help myself. can you show me stuff that I can do to help myself? I said, yeah, for sure. We can, and that takes time. You know, it's a progression. Person work at it for a while. They work on they get to a certain point, and then let's look at this. And also, how much energy do you want to invest in getting better and staying better? So that conversation needs to occur with whoever you're dealing with.
We talked about the patients possibly moving from chiropractors to physiotherapists and so on and so forth. I guess insurance companies know that, and it's kind of accepted that sometimes you might need to make a switch.
Well, I think what happens is most third-party people, companies that pay for adjunct services, whether it's massage therapy, physiotherapy, or chiropractor, give people a blank amount of funding. Say you get $500 or $1,000 a year,
right.
And you choose as a consumer which provider you need to get your help from. And I think that's very healthy because it keeps everybody on their toes. I think that the consumer, the person who gets the service, who basically purchases the service, can be judicious about if they're not getting the result that they expect or they want. Go see somebody else. I've always encouraged that, you know.
Right.
But have a conversation, and you have to appreciate it's like physician. It's like any profession. Everybody has a different skill set. Everybody looks at the problem a different way, and sometimes, you know, certain people relate or connect better to one particular individual than others. And I think it's an education process for sure. And it's like you might have a favorite restaurant, right? You have a particular taste that you like chicken or something, and you cook like the way these people cook it. So
right.
I hate to compare physiotherapists to restaurants, but you know, I said it's still a customer-based service. You know,
Andre has a very successful practice in town, Back in Motion. What's your greatest thrill over the last 30 years with your practice, Andre?
Sorry,
what's your greatest thrill being a physiotherapist in Sault Ste. Marie over the last 30 years?
Which is the favorite trail?
Greatest thrill.
The favorite. I'm sorry, I can't hear the word. You asked me what my favorite thrill.
Yeah, actually, we'll take a quick break right now, and we'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
All right, thank you.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Listen to them. Children of the night. Alive! It's alive!
Have a great business idea but don't know where to start? Need help taking your business to the next level? C2C Business Services can be your guide in navigating the path of entrepreneurship, with services ranging from grant funding support, access to service experts, market information, and helping your business adopt new technologies to create and foster a culture of innovation for ongoing success. Call C2C Business Services and let them be your first step in taking your entrepreneurial dreams from concept to commerce. C2C Business Services is a division of the Sault Ste. Marie Innovation Center. Housed in a 15,000 square foot custom manufacturing facility built to produce world-class cabinetry at surprisingly affordable prices, Great Lakes Fine Cabinetry brings your project from initial concept to final design. Proudly providing Northern Michigan and the Algoma region with quality hand-built cabinetry for the past 20 years. Located at 844 East 3 Mile Road, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, Great Lakes Fine Cabinetry, making your cabinetry dreams come true. With over 45 years of experience, All Ontario Well Drilling offers hydrofracking and all well drilling services. Call 705-575-8088 or 705-257-9495.
What will your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality? Or get old with disease? It's time to decide. The average Canadian will spend their last 10 years in sickness. Change your future at makehealthlast.ca.
Welcome back to On Point. I'm Andy Martins. We're talking with Andre Riopel, who's owner of Back in Motion, a very successful physiotherapist practice in Sault Ste. Marie here. Andre, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Andy. And if you want, I can pick it up where we left off.
Well, let's talk a little bit about vertigo and tinnitus.
Yeah.
Things that I have, and maybe it would be interesting to the viewers what those things are, and probably a lot of your patients and a lot of people in Sault Ste. Marie suffer from these conditions.
Well, what's interesting is you talked about my thrill and what I did 20 years ago.
Answer that quickly, sure.
Yeah, but it's related to your question because I developed an area of interest in treating people with inner ear disorders about 20 years ago, and I've specialized in that area. So I see a lot of people who suffer from vertigo, and it's by far the most fulfilling condition that I see, because the ability to take somebody who's very, very ill and make them better very, very quickly is just truly amazing. So I see people who come directly from emergency department who are throwing up. They get literally walked in because they can't even walk. And then for the most part, within a day or so, it can be completely better again. The inner ear, I brought a model here. I don't know if you're interested, but the idea is how physiotherapists treat this condition is that the inner ear is a mechanical device. It's got moving parts, and people always talk about, you know, the crystals and the different structures of the inner ear that can cause problems that are very overwhelming for people. With the room spinning. Vertigo is a spinning sensation, so we can all experience vertigo. If you go on a merry-go-round and you get off after you go quickly around and get off, you feel like you're spinning still. But imagine if you get up in the morning, you roll over in bed and the room starts spinning like that, and you fall to the floor, and then you start throwing up. So
wow.
That's very disabling, and it's a condition that actually is a very small problem, but it causes a big reaction.
What causes that problem?
Well, there's several positional vertigo. Benign positional vertigo is the most common inner ear problem that I see, and that can be respond to treatment. So in the inner ear, there's a structure that feels linear motion, and there's a structure that feels rotation motion. So moving your head is a rotation motion. Linear motion is things like you're accelerating in a car or in an elevator.
Right.
And the structure that feels that is composed of like a jello, and on top of the jello there's these this sand or these crystals that actually give it weight. So it could cause a deformation of the gel when you accelerate or decelerate. So what happens often with aging, it could be trauma, it could be infection. Some of those crystals become loose and they get caught in another part of the inner ear. So when you move a certain way, they move and they give your brain information that you're moving when you're really not. So vertigo is described as an hallucination of motion that's not real. So the thing is, you can what you do is there's 6 canals, and each canal makes you test each canal individually to determine which canal the crystals are stuck in, and then we do a thing called a repositioning maneuver, and then we can actually make the crystals come out of the canal immediately, like very quickly, and then you cure the person like on the spot. And it's dramatic. It's so spectacular, and people are so grateful. For us, as therapists, we like to make people better. It's a big thrill for us, and it's certainly a big thrill for the patient. So.
That's a great answer to my question, Andre. Totally. Let's talk in our remaining moments in the show about you're going to be appearing in front of City Council today, and You're looking at a new bicycle path. So what exactly is going on today then?
Okay, for your listeners, the city has, we're trying to move forward in the development of making our community more bicycle friendly.
Right.
And that includes the development of infrastructure that facilitates and improves the safety of cyclists of all ages from age 8 to 98. The structure we're talking about tonight is bicycle lanes, very similar to the ones that were constructed on Queen Street that extend to the east end of town.
Right.
And then the city has been developing a plan over the past 30 years and refining it. And we got some money from the provincial government to develop our cycling commuter route. So people will ride bicycles not only for recreation, but also for transportation to get to school or to get to work or to go shopping and visiting friends and that sort of thing. So, and of course, we want to encourage an active lifestyle, and we want to encourage people to reduce their dependency on driving,
right.
Which results in a benefit for everybody. So Pine Street and Willow are very important cycling corridors because of how they connect at the north and south ends of it. Like at Willow, for example, if you go at the south end of it, you go to the YMCA parking lot, and then you can cross the parking lot and go continue southbound, avoiding the Great Northern Road corridor, and also gives you access to the college, gives you access to Algoma Public Health, the Group Health Center, Rome's shopping area, without having to negotiate the very hazardous Great Northern Road. And I don't think people want to see cyclists on Great Northern Road. So Willow exactly. And Pine are wide. There's lots of room. So bike lane is basically paint on the pavement that sort of gives. It helps to make people understand how the relationship is between the two modes of transportation. And the particular lanes that are planned for Pine are going to be what we call double lines. So it'll actually encourage motorists to stay to the left. Some right. residents are very concerned because they feel that it's going to affect traffic flow, which is the same thing, the same concerns we heard when the bike lanes on Queen were developed. And in hindsight, people liked the flow of traffic a lot better. People were concerned about their ability to exit their driveways with bike lanes because they have a hard time to get out now.
Well, that was my question, that particularly on Pine Street would be an issue for residents, possibly.
For sure. And Pine, I don't blame the residents. I mean, Pine Street, when you look at the traffic, the volume of traffic on Pine Street in the past, let's say 10, 15 years,
right.
The volume of traffic has quadrupled, if not more. Like what happened is when Walmart and Big Box and we started to develop uptown, Great Northern Road, but also Pine Street became an obvious north-south corridor. And then when you open up St. Mary's College and we put the hospital at the north end of town, a lot of people who used to just stay downtown now have to go uptown, and then they find their way. If you're in the East End, you go up Black Road. But if you're in the middle of the city, Pine Street becomes a natural corridor for them. So the volume of traffic has dramatically increased on Pine Street, and the residents has affected their way of life. You just imagine tomorrow if we double the amount of traffic on your street. You have more noise, you have more air pollution, you have more. It's more dangerous, and a lot of people used to just walk to go across the street to go grocery shopping or to visit friends and neighbors, and your children playing and visiting. So the character of that street has changed dramatically, and people are very upset about the whole thing. And what the concern is that the bike right. lanes will actually make that even more so. But the experience and also the research shows that actually what happens when you build bike lanes and you remove parking on certain spots, because most of Pine and Willow don't have parking on it right now. Right. It improves. One of the things is when you're coming out of your driveway and it's a parked car, there's a blind spot that's created. So. And also you have to negotiate your way around that vehicle, so it makes it more dangerous. And I mean, just think about it. It's all the streets in town that there's a lot of traffic on. If we add parking to all those streets, it makes it much more difficult for sight lines and increases the danger. The other thing that the bike lanes will do, one of the issues in this town, especially after this weekend, is people are concerned about speeding. there is, personally, because I ride my bicycle, I noticed that most people in this town usually drive at 20 kilometers above the speed limit. Is not unheard of. And people don't even consider that a problem. And my daughter just came from Edmonton. She goes to Edmonton. We have speed cameras, and they ticket you if you go 5 kilometers over the speed limit. And
wow.
I said, you know what? It would just change the character of every street if people would just drive the speed limit. So Pine Street, when you put bike lanes on Pine Street, it reduces it makes the drive lane narrower, and we know that narrow drive lanes reduce traffic speed. So we think, and this is what happened on Queen Street.
I think we saw that on Queen Street.
That's right.
We?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I always, Mayor Provenzano of all people has a house on Queen Street, and he's lived there for a long time. So he personally knows that the design of Queen Street, since they put bike lanes in, is much easier to get out of their driveway.
Are you expecting some resistance from council tonight?
I expect we'll get support, but I think that there was a petition going around by people opposing the bike lanes, and then we look at the information that they were provided, and unfortunately, a lot of that information is not true. So, people today, they do research, they go online, they put Google, say, anti-bike lane, whatever you want to put in there, and you'll find information to counter anything if you look enough. But the evidence is very, very strong that when you make a city more bicycle friendly, there's the province of Ontario has very strict guidelines on how to design roads and how to design bicycle infrastructure, and you need to follow those, and those guidelines are based on what we call best practice. This is research, evidence-based. It is what we do best. It's not somebody who go online and does research and finds two papers that contradict some of the things that are done now, and their information, unfortunately, is inaccurate, or it's basically out of context. So that is a big problem today with what we call, let's get to the truth here, let's get to the real facts, and not have this distorted position, and people get all upset because they're getting that information. So hopefully tonight, clearer heads will prevail, and the council will see that this is not ill thought or a well-researched project, and it will improve the quality of life of the residents on that street. And whether you're a bike rider or not, it will make your street better. And they will know that, just like the people on Queen Street found out after the fact. But we're scared of the unknown, right? So
right, they kind of the people on Queen Street realized it was the right thing to do, but they were resistant in the beginning.
For sure. And I had a story that one gentleman, he opposed it, and then he came to one of our meetings, and he said, what's funny? At first I thought it was going to be mayhem, and we're going to get this parade of bicycles. Now we have to watch about not running over bicycles and cars on top of it, and it's going to make our lives miserable. And what he found is nothing of the sort occurred. Not only that, he said, I said, geez, there's a bike lane. I'm going to take my bike out. I'm going to ride my bike downtown because there's a bike lane right here. And he said he started cycling a year ago, and then he said he lost 10 pounds. He never felt better in his life. And I'm going like, this is exactly what we're trying to do here. We're trying to change the way people live, because we have issues in this community with lifestyle. And personally, as a healthcare professional, we know that the built environment, or the way we build our city, affects the way we behave. And people in
Andre, I got to leave it there. So thank you so much
for
coming in, and we'll be right back to wrap up the show.
Thank you.
I am a mother, and I am a sister.
I'm a father.
A wife, a daughter. I'm Somali lady.
I can very proudly say that I'm a teacher.
A social worker.
I'm a human being.
I have a dream
to be free.
And I wish we live in the world full of peace.
That was a great show, folks. That wraps it up. I wanted to thank Andre Riopel, physiotherapist at Back in Motion, for being on the show today. On the next edition of On Point, Kristen Termbrinsky, the broker of record of Exit Realty, joins me, and we'll see you then. Andy Martins for On Point. Take care.